Page 18, New Year's Waltz. I have a process I go through when I learn a new piece of music, and that's what I use in these videos. So be patient, I'll get there. First, I like to look it over. I see it's 3 pages long. Okay. Treble and bass clef. It's got 1 sharp in the key signature. That means it's either in G major or E minor. If I check it out and I look it over, I see that it's actually in E minor. But you need to do the scales on both, G major and E minor. So this helps familiarize you with the harmony and the sound of the key signature is what I'm after, and the fingering and which black notes are involved. As to 3/4 time, which makes sense because it's a waltz. Waltzes are generally in 3/4 time, huh? I want to take it one hand at a time and make sure I got the fingering and notes and rhythm worked out. At the beginning in the right hand, it's not bad, just half notes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, just 1. This is what we're doing for a while until we get to measure 9. 1 and 2. Don't forget the F sharps in the key signature. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3. Now measure 13. That 1 and 2 and. See, tied notes cause some people problems. I don't know if you get them or not. If you're having a problem with it, simply take out the tie and play all the notes for a bit. Oh, there's just 8th notes. 1 and 2 and. Then when you have an idea of that, then you put the tie in. You just hang on the note rather than playing it again. 1 and 2 and 3. Measure 25, you get bass clef. You're down here. Treble clef. That's right, the fingering's good. I like it. Now we're going to do it again up here. Okay. Left hand? Well, the left hand's down here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 1 and 2. If you don't like being up in here, you can try a second finger on the black key. So it's 1 and 2. This way your hand stays out here. Depends on how big your hands are. It's up to you. Measure 13, your chords. And then come down one. The G stays there, but the others come. Now you come down. Now measure 16. This, I want to connect this to the next measure. So I'm going to play a measure 17. I'm going to play a 2 here, and then I can come back to a 5. So measure 16 is here, and then here. So I can connect it. Measure 24, you're up here. Down here, I should say. 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 3 and 1 and 2. Let's work out this rhythm. And when you get to measure 50, you get treble clef. You've got to be careful here. Measure 49, you're here. Down here. Then you get treble clef to come up here. The wiggly line I'll come back to later. And then bass clef, you're down here. And then treble clef again. And then bass clef. So you're going back and forth. Be careful there because the right hand's in the way. You got to go over it. So once I have an idea what each hand is doing, then I go try and put the hands together. And here is usually a whole new adventure, and I'm hesitating all over, and I don't care. I just want to know which hands are working together, or which fingers are working together, I should say. So here it's here, and then here, and then here. See? And then go over to measure, what, 9? It's here. Go through very slowly and I put the hands together. However, I want to make a suggestion at the end, the bottom of page 20. The last 4 measures, you're here. And then they want that top F sharp up here. I'm going to play that with the right hand because it's there already. I'm just going to go, I'm just adding it to these notes here. I do this a lot. I have one hand play a note that the other hand, it's not a matter of supposed to play. It's that in music, typically one hand plays one staff and one plays the other, although that's not true. And there's no rule says it has to be that way. So I typically will have the fingers of one hand play the note for help the other hand out. And here it's so awkward to get that here. So I'll have the right hand, it's there, why not just use it here? So again, it's here, and then here. And then I'll release it as I play that note. But these notes stay down. I'm just playing that note here. I do that a lot, and I recommend you try it out. It comes in really handy. And a lot of pieces where one hand can help the other play notes. Oh, yeah. See, some teachers teach, oh, no, you have to. If it's in one state, you got to use the fingers in that hand. There's no rule says that. So it's whichever. It's out of convenience is all it is. Now, once I have the hands together, then I go back through it a few hundred times and I get rid of the hesitation. So it's a steady beat. I can keep it slow. Speed isn't important right now, but no hesitations. Right now, if the only time you have to hesitate, it would be to turn the page. Now, we'll deal with the page turn a little later. Then I add the articulation. Here it's pretty connected. Lift up. You want to lift up between these. That's fine. The pedal's going to cover it up, but you can still do it with the hands. And you're pretty much connecting this throughout. You do have a few staccatos, though. We want to hear those. So I can measure 24. We want to hear that. And at the bottom of the page 19, we want to hear the staccatos. So don't cover those up. Now on measure 50, you get the squiggly line. That's an arpeggiation indication where you're going to roll the chord. That is, you're going to play you're going to play each note in the chord one at a time. Hold it down, and it's not done rhythmically necessarily. In most cases it can be, but usually isn't. It's just a roll chord. Whoop. How people interpret it, they don't agree on how it's interpreted, so I'll leave that between you and your teacher. You can play the top note on the beat, and the others act like a pickup. Here, 1, 2, 3. I typically play the bottom note on the beat, so 1, 2, 3. Again, that's between you and your teacher, how you interpret it. But you have that there, and I'll measure 52. However, on measure 52, we're slowing down. We had an RIT in measure 51. And a lot of times when you slow down, you can also slow down the roll chord. But how much you slow it down is up to you, or whether you slow it down or whatever. Again, that's interpretation. Experiment with different speeds, and you decide. Then the dynamics. Now at the beginning, there's really no melody here, but I tend to want to kind of play the left hand out. This is sort of these chords, I'm going to keep soft, but that's interpretation. You don't have to. Then I'm soft, measure 5. I'm echoing that. And I'm staying soft, but now it's the right hand I want to hear. The left hand's got to go in the background. It's the left hand or the right hand I want to hear, and I measure 16. Here, soft, go up to about a moderately soft, moderately loud. Each one of these get a little louder, and then that's loud. Until you get to measure 24 again. Come down, soft. Now on measure 25, I kind of think it's both hands here together. So they're both going to be the same, moderately soft. Because you're holding that down. Moderately loud at measure 29. Measure 32, it's the right hand that's loud, and then all of a sudden you're soft. You can do the dynamics. And once I have a feel for the dynamics, then I'll add in the speed. Well, Grazioso is not a speed, it's graciously, it's a nice, pleasant waltz, but they want it in a swing style. So the counting, it's not going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. We're going to swing the counting. 1 and 2 and 3, and we're going to play it that way. 1 and 2. So start like measure 9 or the 8. 1. It's the counting. Through 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. And that's fine. Not too fast, not too slow. I don't know that this is meant to be danced to. Not all waltzes are meant to be danced to. If you're going to dance to it, you have to speed it up a little bit. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3. Somewhere in there. That's fine too. Now on measure 50, you get a retardando. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You're slowing down here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you get an out tempo, which means go back to what you were doing before you slow down. Yeah, just be aware of that. In measure 55, it's a poco rit. Well, poco means a little, so you just slow down a little bit there. Don't slow down a lot, just a little bit, and then off tempo means go back to doing what you were doing. Okay, and then at the bottom you get a rit again to slow down. Slow down. That's all right. You have to feel these. You're feeling it all. You're feeling the articulation. You feel the dynamics. You feel these tempo changes and things. Now they've added pedal. I always learn a piece without pedal first because I want to make sure that fingers are doing everything they're supposed to do because the pedal can cover stuff up. And then when I add pedal, I can hear the difference in the effect it really has. Here, they just want it all pretty much legato pedal throughout except when you have staccatos. Well, okay, if that's the effect, if I were actually going to pedal it myself, I might alter that pedal a little bit because I like to experiment with the sound. Maybe I don't want it all connected. I want a few other things. But to do it the way they're showing, it's going to be overlapping or legato pedal. So the hands do their thing first, and then the pedal does its thing immediately after. So the pedal overlaps what the hands are doing just a bit. Because I want to start the sound before I release the overtones. So it's here. I change the pedal after the note so it overlaps. This ensures there's always sound, and they're doing that throughout. Except, of course, for the staccatos. You lift up for the staccatos. I mean, I can make more suggestions on the pedaling, and I can complicate it some way, but again, it's a matter of listening. Because sometimes you can use, there's a couple waltz style pedalings you can try. One is just pedal the first beat of the measure. This reinforces the natural accent. 1, 2, 3. So if I just pedal the first beat of the measure, here, and then measure 9. That's 1, and then another one would be pedal the first 2 beats of the measure and lift up on beat 3. So it's so on measure 9, it's it's a different sound when you do that, when you're releasing or cleaning it out at the end of each measure like that. And then there's another style of pedaling or technique for pedaling we can try, and that is a legato technique which just connects things that we can't connect with our hands. For instance, you get down to measure 13, the chords, we can't connect those with our hands. So we push the pedal down long enough to connect the note. Here, just pedal it right before you change the pedal. Here, change it. just pedaling to help connect the notes. And we try that. See, there's different pedaling techniques, and we can mix them as we're going through it. We can try the different techniques out. It is part of interpreting the music. And how? Because the music, written music, gives you the guide to start by, and then it's up to you to take it beyond that. However, for this lesson, I'm going to go ahead and pedal it the way they're showing, and you can experiment with the pedal on your own. Now we have a page turn to deal with. We got to deal with that. So, what are the techniques for dealing with page turns? First off, memorize the piece if you can. That's always first choice. If not, memorize at least page 20. If you could just get that much of it, then you don't have to deal with a page turn. If you don't have that, then maybe you get somebody to turn the page for you. If you can't do that, then you got to turn the page yourself. Well, is there a place near the page turn where one hand isn't doing anything? It's got rests. If so, turn the page during those rests. You may have to memorize a few measures, but that's okay. It doesn't take long to memorize a few measures, I hope. But if there's no rest, and this piece has no rest, both hands are busy all the time. So now we have the last resort, the one we don't like, but the one we have to do. Because whatever you do when you turn the page, do not mess up the beat. That's not even a consideration. The beat has to be a steady beat throughout the whole piece. You don't mess up the beat because you got to turn the page. I've heard people do that in performances. Just don't. Just figure something out. If you have to leave out notes, you have to leave them out. You can't leave out melody notes. You got to leave out other notes. How many you leave out depends on how quickly you can turn the page. But you keep the melody note going. Now, at the end of page 19, you have a whole note. Maybe you play it, and then as you're doing this, quickly turn the page with the right hand. So you're just shortening that note a little bit. You played it, and then you can turn the page with the right hand. If that's not enough time for you, then we have to figure out something else. You may have to leave out some notes in the left hand or something. It's really up to you on how you figure it out, but don't mess up the beat here.